Alrighty, guys, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Paid and Passion, where we let our passions work for you. Today, we have a great friend of mine, Godswill. Could you go ahead and introduce yourself?
So y'all, how y'all doing? My name is Godswill Nwankwo. I'm a current program manager at Google, and also startup founder of Migrate, which is a payment processing company that will enable people to be able to shop on their favorite websites and check out using cryptocurrency, which is launching this spring. So thank you for having me, Josh.
Thank you, and congratulations to your lunch that's about to start.
Thank you.
You know, you're doing great things. So let's just bring it back to your primary thing, working with Google. How has that experience been for you?
Yeah, great question. So I'm a year and a month in at
Okay.
Google. So I started January 2023. January 2022. And it's been a fantastic experience so far. Um, it's a lot of my close friends know I've wanted to work at Google since I was around 19 years old. So definitely been a blessing. So yeah, really excited to be on this journey.
Okay, that's great. So, since this has been a journey that you wanted since 19, what was your career outlook? How did it look before the age of 19?
Yeah, great question. So, around freshman year of college, I actually came in with the idea that I wanted to be pre med. Didn't know exactly what I wanted to do in medicine, but I did have a passion for healthcare since a very young age. Got to UGA and I was, maybe I want to be a pharmacist, maybe I want to be a doctor, maybe I want to be a PA, maybe I want to be a biomedical engineer. I had all these different ideas. And then I don't know what happened, but around sophomore year, I started surrounding myself with different perspectives and different people who kind of exposed me to like a lot of opportunities outside of the medical field. And I've always been interested in business and technology. I feel like I've always been a creative person growing up,
Mm.
and had a very entrepreneurial mindset as well. But didn't really know how that could materialize into something that I'm doing now. And so around the age of 19, I was like, oh, you know what, I want to go on out on a limb and switch my major. And at that time, I was around health promotions, and then I ended up switching to MIS, which is Management Information Systems at UGA, as you know. And with that switch, it just kind of exposed me to a whole new world of thinking, a whole new world of really just approaching different problems and how like my creativeness can kind of help organizations solve that, whether it's my organization or big organizations. And so the reason why I wanted to end up at Google is because I feel like how cool would it be to be at one of the largest tech companies in the world that are solving really major problems for users, across many different softwares and hardware platforms. And so, at that time, I was like, I really want to work for them one day. And a lot of people was like, oh man, like it's so hard. Like, what I'm
Yeah.
saying? The percentage is low, the chances are low. Like, what I'm saying? Like, and it was like not like people was hating, but it was just more so like not many people had been seen from UJ who have done it. Aside of a few people that I, had really close friendships with who were a little bit older than me. And so it was kind of something I set my path on, not because it was difficult, but because I was passionate about it. And so, the rest is history. Of course, there were different, paths that we'll get into on the way that kind of got me to where I'm at today. But
Right.
ultimately, very, very, you know, interesting journey.
Yeah, that's great. You had your mind on the mission and you stuck with it through and through. Okay, that sounds good. So I always heard about MIS, Management Information Systems. So how has that kind of prepared you for, just that different outlook? I really didn't know. I mean, I hear management information systems, but even then, I don't know what that means or like what that prepares you for in the job force. So could you kind of share with us like what those classes kind of looks like and how that prepared you for what you're doing now?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So, for those watching that may not, be 100% privy to what MIS is, so Management Information Systems is basically the intersection of business strategy and computer science. And so, on one side, we take business courses such as management, marketing,
Mhm.
finance, and in a lot of those like different core business classes, you learn the fundamentals of how to be a successful professional in those different areas that I just mentioned. And so outside of those core classes you take as a Terry major, there are also different classes such as project management, um, you know, um, business process management notation. And so within project management, you are basically the stakeholder who's responsible for serving as the liaison between either an organization or a client or maybe your team and different stakeholders across the company. And so, as a project manager, you basically have to ensure that you're helping people understand what are the different tasks, action items, and processes that need to be completed to either have a product or project launched. And so that was one class that we took that was really, really dope. Shout out to Dr. Huber. If you're in Terry, highly recommend you take him. And then on the technical side of MIS, there were classes such as Java or SQL. And so Java and SQL are both coding languages. And so Java is an object oriented language. And so with Java, you can build applications and different types of interfaces and backend technologies. And then also with SQL is a querying language. And so, for example, let's say that you have a table and it has many different rule sets and formulas in that table, and you need to pick a specific formula to solve a problem. And so, for example, let's say that 1 plus 1 equals 2 or x plus y equals z, and that is stored in a specific table or in a chart, and you want to be able to pull that entry whenever you come across problems that require that kind of mechanism. And so with SQL querying, you actually be able to do that using the actual computer technology to figure out where you want to identify and query that specific data set. And so, that's kind of the main, some of the main classes we took. And so I know that sounds very, very like, probably boring and nerdy, but it's way bigger than that. I think MLES was more so something that helped me expose myself into the realm of how do professionals think in technology
Right.
and business. I didn't want to be all the way into the computer science world, but I wanted to be dangerous enough to where once I get older and get more skills and understanding, I can be at a top company and understand the technology, but not necessarily have to code. Which even though I know how to code, that's not necessarily something that I'm like, mostly passionate about. I'm more
Right.
so passionate about give me a great team of professionals. How do we go and solve this problem,
Right.
whether it's a product problem or a project problem? But more than likely, everything comes down to people. And so that's what I'm really, really passionate about is how can I make this person's life easier with the innovation that we bring to them. And so that's kind of where I sit now at Google as a program manager.
Okay, that sounds great. How was the transition from, although you only did it for 1 year, I do know, again, as a science major myself, how was that transition from those science classes, a bit more scientific and, I guess you'll say, spot on, so exact, to now a major where you have to use more, you have to, there's more flexibility in your answer and the coursework that you do.
Yeah, great question. So I think in science classes, we've all taken science classes since we were like in what first grade. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And so I feel like science is one of those innate subjects where you can see it around you. You
Mm,
know that H2O has the water cycle. You
right.
know that within science there's the weather. There's so many different facets of science. Whether it's biology, geology, chemistry, and I was actually very, very pretty good at science, and I was very always interested in it. But I think one thing that's really important to note is that there's just not one linear or monolithic path to success in your
Right.
life. Like I always tell people, like just because I'm working at Google now doesn't mean I'm going to be there for like the next 15 or 20 years. Like I myself as a person, like I may want to still dabble into healthcare technology. I may
Hmm.
even want to dabble into full-time entrepreneurship past
Right.
the age of 28. That's something
Right.
I'm manifesting. And so like within that, I've just realized that the idea of, oh, I want to be this when I grow up, that I don't really believe in that anymore. I feel
Right.
like if you want to do something at 25, do that. And then at 30, try something new,
Right.
35, try something new. Like you're not limited to what you studied in college.
Right.
But to answer your question in terms of the differences between what I take, the science classes I took versus the business classes, I think, like I said, the science classes are things that you can identify in nature
Right.
and things that, while are very difficult, there's a whole different way of thinking. I think science is very concrete in terms of, oh, like if you want to find out this theory or you want to find out what's the science behind something, you can go find that. Versus with business, we never really got taught business classes
Right.
in growing up until we got to college.
Right.
We never really had an understanding of financial literacy. And then on top of that, like being a minority, being someone who grew up in a household that was on the lower middle income side of things, like I'd always been able to identify, okay, like I know the kind of lifestyle that I want to live, and it's not what I have, now, and that's how I thought as a kid. And so that kind of knack for understanding, like, how do I get to a place where I'm able to create generational wealth
Right.
at a young age, and also how do I have the idea of what financial literacy
Right.
is, and have others like myself to learn what that is,
Mhm.
and I just was always really passionate about that. And so I think MIS and business in general just kind of helped me to learn a little bit more about not only how we can help ourselves, but also how do we operate in a day to day world that is
Right.
focused around a lot of different things regarding whether finances, technology, investing, like a whole bunch of different things. And,
Mhm.
a lot of people are like, oh, like, I don't want to worry about that until I'm like 30 or 40. And that's cool and all.
Yeah.
Everybody's different. But the real reality is, if you want to break the cycle of how you grew up, then
Yeah.
you have to
Yeah.
change something that you're accustomed to.
Right.
Doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results is basically the definition of insanity.
Right.
And so for me, I wanted to be in a position where I could graduate college and not only have a really good financial outlook for myself, but also potentially for my family and then also for my future generations. So I think business, technology, and the combination of the two helped me to realize the possibilities
Mhm.
that I could accomplish in my 20s. So
Yeah. No, that's great. Business, business and technology is definitely uh, our future. This just this era that we trapped into. Even me saying it from a previous videos, like if someone, I mean, as we do have people who have been in prison for so many years, this era, the technology era from going in and coming out is totally different. Like you really would not know how to operate life. But again, you're going into that area where you're able to just tackle different types of problems
yeah,
that you see in society
yeah.
using those areas. Okay. So what? Because again, it sounds well. It doesn't just sound like it. You are very knowledgeable in your area. So what other tools or like resources did you use or have that kind of helped you on this, on this journey of going into MIS and going into Google, talking about
Mm,
financial literacy,
yeah.
all those type of things. So
Yeah, well, that's a really a great question. Honestly, I think one of the most important things that somebody has to identify is what are you even passionate about?
right,
I think before we even get to like the tools, resourcing, and your network, ultimately it's like how do you align what you're passionate about to what you actually want to do in life? I think a lot of people try to get the easy way out and figure out, oh, what's going to make me the most money, or how what's going to get me in a position that I'm comfortable. I won't have to work too hard or anything
right,
like that. But like truth be told, any form of success that you achieve that's actually worth it is not going to be easy.
right,
You see these people who, are, successful and, they have a lot of money or they have a lot of, fame. And, I don't really care for fame, but like, I feel like, in terms of like, however you define success, I think a lot of people think, especially in our generation, oh, like, what is the easy way to get there? And
yeah,
truth be told, there is no easy way to get there. It's all about how you craft your path to align with what you're passionate about. But in terms of the actual tools, resources, and things that I felt like really helped me during that transition into the business world,
mhm,
ultimately was a lot of it was the people around me. Really, like I was surrounded with a lot of great people at UGA, but there was times where I felt like the gap was really there in terms of what I really wanted for myself and who I could event, like who could I actually see doing that. And not to say that I was looking for somebody to compare my path against, but it's really helpful to have people who inspire you.
right,
And I really really think it's important for people to have mentors and people who they look up to, because even though they may not be in a position where you exactly want to be in the next 3 to 5 years, they can at least give you some insights and help you to learn different things that you may
right,
have not have known was even possible before. And so one of the organizations that I ended up being a part of in undergrad was called Management Leadership for Tomorrow, otherwise known as MLT. MLT was just really amazing. Like MLT was an organization that basically caters to undergraduate Black and Brown students who are interested in careers outside of medicine, law, or anything that really requires a postgraduate degree. And so that opens the playing field for Black and Brown students who are in tech, who are in business, who are in different areas of finance, whether they're in investment banking, consulting, product management, program management. There's so many different fields within the business and technology realm, but MLT was an organization that basically catered to students in those areas across the nation. So by God's grace, I was able to get accepted my sophomore year of college, right after switching my major, and within that, they basically had access to the best invited students across the nation who looked
mhm,
like me, and it was crazy because it not only expanded my horizons in terms of what's possible, but then I was sitting at the table with people from Harvard, Yale, Stanford, MIT, UGA, Georgia Tech, and they were all like, "Oh yeah, like oh I've entered that Google since freshman year, like it's
mhm,
nothing." And I was like, "Whoa, like these people are just like me," but it's like anything is possible.
Right.
So around the reason why I always tell people like age 19 was so pivotal for me is because I saw so much and I realized like the only limits that we actually have are because of either your environment, your socioeconomic status, or your own beliefs.
Right.
And so if you believe that something's too difficult to achieve, then that mental mindset is going to go into how you talk about things and how you approach different situations. And then you're not going to want to accomplish that. But if you already have that mental mindset of, oh, like nothing is impossible, and you have a healthy regard for the impossible, you can understand that you can achieve anything in life with God, and if you have the faith and the actual work ethic behind it, the sky is actually not even the limit. And
Right.
so that was one of the most inspiring things that I realized at a younger age, and it just kind of fueled me, man. And so when I switched my major, and also get into MLT, it was just really a game changer. And just to give you a quick, synopsis on what MLT is again, basically during MLT, they fly you out to different conferences where you get to interface with like different companies, and a lot of these times these companies are actually recruiting directly at these conferences, and
Right.
so you may have interviews, you may have interview prep, you also may have opportunities to really just understand what it takes to be successful in the field as a black or brown
Mhm.
person. And a lot of those students that I actually met over the course of the years have now become a lot of my close friends.
Yes.
We've built relationships, and now some of us have even built businesses together. And so it's really great to just be a part of that network because even though it was only around 350 of us that got selected nationally out of like thousands of
Mhm.
applicants, it was just really crazy to see like 5 years later, you look at where everybody's going, and it's just
Yeah.
like, whoa,
We.
like we just getting started. We're only in
Yeah.
our 20s, and
Right.
like I have friends who have businesses. Shout out to Code House, shout out to Elevate Thrifts. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just really inspiring.
That's nice. Okay. Uh, what was the feeling when you actually were accepted to Google? So of course, you believe that you saw yourself working for Google, despite despite everything everyone was talking about. You still applied, but even when you worked hard for something, sometimes you just don't get it. So what was the actual feeling when you're like, wow, okay, I just became a percentage that a lot of people, well, a percentage that a lot of people don't reach. A point that everyone thinks about working for Google at some point, or not everybody, but
Yeah,
that's a big dream for a lot of people.
yeah,
So the point that you really made it, and you're like, wow, this is again just the beginning, but I just achieved something so great.
yeah, absolutely. Nah, man, it's big shout out to God because none of this would be possible without Him. But I think the largest thing um, that I can really say about that whole experience was, man, God was really testing my endurance and my
Hmm.
patience, my passion, and my faith.
Hmm.
And obviously, we talk about manifestation. We talk about how you know if you think about something that you can achieve, you're going to end up talking to yourself about why you can achieve it and how it's going to be a reality. And so instead of saying, "Oh, I want to make six figures," or "I want to be in technology," or "I want to be a doctor," it's more so, "I will be one.
Right.
I will be a doctor. I will work in technology." So that is something that also shifted in my mindset around the age of 19 as well. Instead of saying wants, wills. And then that was really a big accreditation to The Alchemist and also The Four Agreements, which were really two foundational books that I read around the ages of 19 and 20.
Hmm.
But to answer your question specifically around like what was that journey into getting to Google, so once I did make my mind that I feel like I will be able to do that, I interviewed for the first time junior year of college. So I was 21 years old, and Google had reached out to me for a YouTube strategy role. And so basically, this would be an internship opportunity between my junior and senior year of college. So the summer of junior year going to senior year, where I'd be actually able to go to the Bay, work out of the Bay, and work for the YouTube team, who's responsible for different strategic products and endeavors that launch on their platform. And so I was ecstatic. I was
Right.
like, man, like how do y'all know who I am? Like,
Yeah.
this is amazing. I was like,
Okay.
I
They just
really,
reached out to
yeah,
you.
they
Okay.
emailed me. And so,
Okay.
like I told you, I was part of MLT. And so with MLT, we
Mhm.
had access to many different recruiters and
Yeah.
employers. And so once your resume is somewhat, high level, like somewhat like attractive to like
Hmm.
different types of employers and stuff, it's pretty easy to circulate. So like at that
Hmm.
time, I was, circulating my resume around to different top tech companies such as Twitter, Google, Facebook, Microsoft, Deloitte, Accenture, so on and so
Hmm.
forth. And so somehow, some way, they reached out to me and they found me and they were like, hey, like, we see that you're a student at the University of Georgia who's a junior about to be a rising senior, and we would love to interview you for a YouTube strategy role out of California. And so I was just like so excited. I
Yeah.
told my dad, my mom, my friends, and I was like, "Yo, like this is really my shot. This is my junior year of college. First time I ever interviewed with Google." And so I didn't really know how to prepare, honestly.
Hmm.
Like I watched like YouTube videos and like Googled like how to prepare for Google interviews. And I knew how difficult it was to get in. I only had like a few friends at the time who I knew were working at the company, and like, and it was one of those really so funny moments because as I'm getting prepared for the interviews and we're getting ready for the actual day of, I'm like, wait, like how hard is it to actually get into Google? And
Yeah.
so I'm doing like, I'm researching and doing statistics, and I'm realizing, oh, like, so around 3 million people apply to Google a year, and they only accept around 10 to 20,000
Mm.
globally.
Yeah.
That's like less than a 1%
Yeah.
chance. You know what I'm saying? And so I was like, whoa. So like, this is like the NBA or
Yeah.
NFL of like
Yeah.
the tech industry.
Hmm.
Like, this is like, if you're him or her, like you're in there. And it's like, whoa. And so it was like a lot of intimidation. It was a lot of like imposter syndrome.
Hmm.
And so, not to say that that played a huge factor, but I just genuinely was not prepared for what the interviews had entailed. And so, got into the first round interview. It was around 3 or 4 questions. I remember taking it in Tate at one of the rooms, like I think on like the fourth or fifth floor, where they have
Hmm.
like all those like rooms where you can
Yeah.
like go in and stuff. And so that was like during the middle of the school day. I like skipped classes. I was like, bro, I'm focused on this interview.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so took the interview. This cool guy, and a lot of the questions that I asked, I've never heard or seen before. They were
Hmm.
very difficult. I was like, yo, this is crazy. But I had faith, and I was, oh, like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like I did pretty good.
Hmm.
I got a rejection notice probably like a week or two later, and they were
Hmm.
like, yeah, like, we don't want to move forward past the first round. And so I was heartbroken. I was
Hmm.
like, dang, like,
Yeah.
that's crazy. But honestly, I needed it. And
Yeah.
I think one other thing that people are really fearful of is on the road to success is failure.
Yeah.
If you don't fail, you actually won't learn. And I'm
Yeah.
actually very thankful that I failed at that time because fast forward 5 years, I'm 25, and it all makes sense
Right.
to an extent. Still things to figure out. But so after that, I was really hurt. I was like even fueled, bro. I was like, nah, like I want it.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna get it. Like this one first no was not. It's not gonna decide my future.
You're
And
right.
so let's fast forward a little bit more. So I ended up getting an internship through MLT connections at Deloitte. So Deloitte, as you know, is an accounting and consulting company, globally recognized as well. And so, even though my eyes were set on big tech and Google, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to be a product manager or program manager. I knew that it's okay to have baby steps, and it's okay to still, have a different route that's maybe not
Right.
monolithic or linear. And so with consulting, I felt like that would also expose me to a really like rapid paced environment where I can like really learn and be able to be, exposed to different individuals who think differently or even think alike. And so, long story short, I had 2 rounds with Deloitte, killed the interviews. The team was like, "Yeah, we want you,"
Hmm.
and so I ended up interning with Deloitte my junior year, summer, going into senior year of college. And so, fast forward after my internship, a lot more companies are hitting my line like, okay, like now at this point, my going into my senior year, there's a different kind of chip on my shoulder because I've worked at this company and I've seen what it's like to be, in a technology slash corporate setting. And so at Deloitte, I was doing like
Hmm.
artificial intelligence implementation. And I'm going to go into details of that, but so I was still, had a chip on my shoulder, and I was like, yo, like, I still want to have a shot at Google. And so, um, let's fast forward to interview season.
Hmm.
So, in the technology and business world, students usually start interviewing for full time job opportunities around like August to December, first semester senior year. And
Hmm.
so, everybody's like, getting ready to graduate and figure out what's next. I was really, really like focused on interviews to make sure I can get a job, straight out of undergrad. And so at that time, I was interviewing with quite a few different companies, such as Accenture. Deloitte had given me a return offer for full time, and then last but not least, a couple other companies, but most notably Accenture and Google were top two on my radar. And so Accenture is also another
Hmm.
tech consulting company,
Right.
and so they had reached out, and then Google had also reached out again.
Hmm.
And so this is the second time I'm going into interviewing with Google. And again, a very tedious process. I prepared a lot more extensively this time, and really just connected with a lot of different people who either worked at Google or had great advice to help me for the interviews. And so I make it past the first round, and they're like, "Whoa, like we like you." And this is like around like September.
Hmm.
So at the time, I'm also taking project management, and the role this time is for a program manager role out in California, and this is full time, so the money is different. And I'm like, "How much are y'all paid?" And I'm like, "Oh, this is crazy. You're telling me I can make six figures at 22 years old, straight out of college." Did not even think that was a possibility. Didn't think I was going to even touch six figures until the age of like 27,
Hmm.
20, 28, 29, 30. You know what I'm saying? And so it was really like a really big exposure to like, oh, like this kind of money is actually
Attainable.
achievable,
Yeah.
attainable. So we're going through first round interview. I kill it. They invite me for on-site interviews in California. This is around homecoming season. So they fly me out to California for free. I stay in this beautiful, beautiful villa
Hmm.
in
Nice.
Silicon Valley. And I go to the Google headquarters, and I just fall in love even more. And
Hmm.
just, I meet some people on campus. I see the cafeterias. And so, usually I had great cafe food, but when I tell you the food at Google is like 10 times, 20 times better,
Better than
professional.
Bolton.
Oh, yeah, wait. Yeah, not even bring up Bolton, but I'm a Snelling boy. But yeah, man, like 10 times better. You got professional chefs, like
Hmm.
anything you can think of that you want to eat, they have it. And so I fall in love, and then I have my interviews, very, very difficult interviews. Um, they take like 45 minutes each, have five of them
Wow.
that day I flew out to Cali. So
Wow.
pretty intense, but I've been preparing, been praying. Get back to Georgia. We have homecoming and everything. And then literally the Saturday of homecoming, my recruiter calls me, and she's like, "Congratulations,
Hmm.
we want to move forward with you." In my head, I'm like, "Oh, like I got the job. Like this is real.
Yeah.
Like I'm about to be working at Google after I graduate college. Like this is unreal."
Hmm.
However, there's another step after the final round interviews at Google. And so after you get a final round interview and you make it past, they have something called the team matching phase. And so the team matching phase is basically where you meet with other hiring managers and they meet with you and they figure out if you're a good fit for their team, and then vice versa, you figure out if you even want to be on their team. It can be in a product area that you may or may not have the most passion for. And
Hmm.
so the team matching phase actually puts the power back in the person who's interviewing to figure out where they really want to be in the company. Ideally, it's supposed to be a good opportunity, but the downside is that oftentimes it can take a very long time. And so
Hmm.
at this point, I had already started interviewing around September, and it's going on November, and I'm still not officially
Yeah.
hired. And so
It's
getting
a
a little
long
frustrated.
process.
Had a couple competing offers from Deloitte and Accenture. Luckily, I had those in my back pocket, and you'll see why soon. And so between November to March 2020, I'm literally meeting with teams every other week. I'm
Hmm.
probably meeting with 5+ teams at this point, trying to figure out who really wants a new graduate, and which team I'm actually passionate about.
Right.
Finally, get to a match where a team actually really interested in me. However, I wasn't really interested in them. And I was like, you know what? I have faith that I can find another one. So I'm going to politely decline this team and just
Hmm.
find another one. Little did I know that another one never actually came.
Okay.
So we get to March 2020. We get back from spring break. Still don't have an offer from Google. Still trying to figure out what team I have. Very frustrated. Luckily, I still had an offer from Accenture. Bad news is the pandemic hits,
Right.
and so the pandemic just changes everything. And so companies lose millions of dollars in a matter of weeks. The stock market substantially crashes. I think that was actually the period of time where me and all my friends started getting into like stocks and investing because everything was so cheap and low.
Yeah.
Even though we were broke college kids, we were like, man,
You got
what's up?
something.
Like
Yeah.
we're gonna start it up. And so, anyways, so within that time period, my recruiter was like, hey, unfortunately, your profile has been open for quite some time, and we're gonna have to probably retract your application because you've been in the pool for more than 6 to 8 months. So I started around September, and she closed the application for me like around like I would say April May, and that was just really a very largely unfortunate situation, just because I felt like I was right there at the door,
Hmm.
but not only did they take my application, but because there wasn't that much demand for a new graduate
Right.
in a pandemic, it just wasn't. It was just a recipe for disaster, and I was really hurt because I felt like I was there. And so that was the second no. And so at that point, I'm very discouraged. even though I still had an offer
Hmm.
with Accenture, it wasn't necessarily six figures, but I was, making, money that I was like really, really grateful to make at that point. And so I was just like, wow, like this is crazy. Like I feel like I was literally at the finish line, and then
Hmm.
it was just ripped apart for me.
Right.
And so, you know, in all situations, rejoice. And it actually ended up working out. So I work at Accenture. I know I feel like this is a very long-winded answer, my bad, but
I'm not.
so
I'm learning a lot.
yeah,
I'm sure they're
so
learning a lot.
so fast forward to July slash August 2020. I accepted my full time offer with Accenture,
Hmm.
and I end up was actually supposed to move to Los Angeles for Accenture, but because of the pandemic, they were like, "Hey, like you all can work from home with your families, and just kind of be at home during this environment." Crazy times, really crazy to think that's already been almost 3 years since the
Right.
pandemic. Wow. Anyways,
Literally.
so start working with Accenture, and in that environment, I'm learning, I'm growing, working from home, stacking up my cheese during this time. Between the ages of like 22 to 24 is really honestly like a period of growth, a
Hmm.
period of just kind of like understanding who I am, understanding like a little bit more about what I actually want to accomplish, and at the same time, I'm kind of like starting my investment journey in terms of like stocks, cryptocurrency, and then also building my business Migrate.
Hmm.
And so um, around May 2021. So I'm like, what, like 8 months on the job now.
Hmm.
Um, Google reaches out again.
Hmm.
Third time, and I'm like, man, I'm sick of y'all, bro. I'm really sick of y'all. Like, I've dealt with y'all too many times since I was 19.
Right.
I'm 20. At that time, I'm like 23. And so I'm like, bro, like,
Y'all keep playing with
y'all
me.
keep playing with me, bro. Like, either y'all want me or y'all don't want me. Like, what's up? So this black recruiter reaches out to me, really great guy, and he's just like, I came across your LinkedIn profile. I see that you won Poets and Quants. By the way, Poets and Quants is a prestigious organization that awards the top business students across the nation. And so,
Hmm.
from each business school in the nation, they award 1 to 2 students
Hmm.
the Poets and Quants Award. So, just for students who have gone above and beyond. And so, at the time, I didn't really know what Poets and Quants was. I was like, man, it's just an award to me. Like,
Yeah.
it's cool, but I didn't really think it was that prestigious or that
Right.
valuable. But until I won it, and then I did some research on it, I was like,
Oh.
oh, I didn't even know I was in the running for it. It was just kind of those things where like some of the advisors from Terry were like, nah, like he's him. So, but nah, so recruiter got on LinkedIn and he was like, I saw your Poets and Quants article. You want a really major award. I see that you worked at Deloitte. I see you're at Accenture right now. You're young. We feel like and what's really cool about Google is if you were a high performer in the interview process,
Mhm.
they keep your feedback in
Okay.
a file for like a year.
Okay.
And so they saw that information and they were like, "Yo, like we want to give you another shot at a program manager role." So at this point, I'm like, "Dang, okay." I mean, third time's a charm, but at the
Right.
back of my mind, I'm like, it's that doubt a little bit.
Hmm.
And then I realized, what I'm saying, like, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it for real.
Yeah.
I can't go in with no doubt. I can't go in with no
Yeah.
hesitancy. All I can do go in is with faith. And so long story short, I'm like, all right, I'm talking to my friends, talking to my family, what I'm saying? I prayed about it and I was like, listen, like God, if this is it, this is it.
Right.
Like, what I'm saying? I wanna be able to say like proudly every single day when I wake up and brush my teeth, I will get a program manager job at Google. Not only just because I wanted to be at Google, because I had dreams for myself that I wanted to achieve. Like, what I'm saying? At that time, I didn't know it, but I had ideas in terms of what I wanted to accomplish in terms of getting a property, in terms of making sure that I can sustain myself, helping my mom, helping like different people in my family, because it was bigger than just me. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? And you got to always figure out a way to give it back. And so, long story short, I started my interview journey again with Google, July 2021. Had my first round interview the same day as the Donda concert in Atlanta,
Hmm.
and then I had my second round interview 2 weeks later. I killed both of them. They're like, "Whoa, we were gonna give you a level 3." So there's different levels of how you're ranked at Google.
Hmm.
Level 3 people are usually people who have had less than 5 years of experience in the industry, usually new graduates, usually people who are pretty young.
Hmm.
But I did so well that they were thinking about leveling me up to L4, and so L4 also comes with a lot more compensation,
Hmm.
also comes with more responsibility, more scope, and a little bit more autonomy instead of
Right.
always telling you, oh, like this is what you need to do. Like you wake up and it's all right, like what's my adventure today? What am I
Yeah.
going to do at Google that's going to help not only me be more successful, but also my team be more successful.
Hmm.
And so I had done so well by the grace of God that they were like, hey, like we want to like put you up for L4. And so I'm like, whoa, like that's major.
Yeah.
And they were like, but before we do that, we need you to take one more interview. Keep in
Hmm.
mind, I'd already taken like 6 interviews at this point. And
Yeah.
so I'm tired. I'm like, bro, like we started this process in May and now it's August. I'm like, I'm just having those like, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying, flashbacks of what has
Yeah.
happened already. And I'm just like, bro, like, nah, like I ain't trying to do all that. So I was like, you know what, whatever. So I take one more interview and they're like, okay, like we can confidently say that you're at L4. And then right now we just need to, figure out what team you're going to land on. So we're back again in the team
With the
matching phase
teams.
that previously I took it 8 months the last time I interviewed. And so September comes along, I'm 1 month in, still don't find a team.
Hmm.
I'm like, all right, cool. I'm gonna just have faith. October comes around, still don't find a team. I'm like, all right, bro. Like this is getting frustrating. And not only that, I'm also still at Accenture while I'm working, while I'm also like meeting with these teams. So it's like I don't want to quit my job
Right.
and just be, what I'm
Right.
saying, just be like, looking around stupid. And so I was like, you know what, I'm just be patient. November comes around, I'm like, yo, what's going on?
Yeah.
And so November, there's a lot of different things that was going on with me, during that time period. So around that time, I didn't have a car for like 4 to 5 months actually. Around November, my mom had got into like a really severe car accident in July 2021. So right around the time I started interviewing, and so I gave her my car so she can be mobile. But during that time, I didn't have a car for like 5 or 6 months at the age of 23. It was hard, you know what I'm saying? But big shout out to my friends and my unit, my family. They just really made sure that I was able to, do what I had to do. And I called a lot of Ubers too at the same
Hmm.
time. But the first thing I wanted to do was get a car. I'd already saved up a substantial amount of money, but during November, it was getting to that time where I was all right, bro. Like, I just want to move on a leap of faith because I had known that I did so well during this time that I just had no doubt in my heart that I felt like I got the job, even though I didn't
Hmm.
have the offer letter in front of me, even though I didn't know for sure. I was like, you know what? I want to go ahead and get this car. And I was like,
Hmm.
you know what? I'm not going to just get any car. I'm going to get the car that I actually want because I can afford it with or without Google. But with Google, it's just going to make it a whole lot easier. And not like I was testing God, but it was really going something like, God, I believe that I'm going to get this job. And just to show you that I actually have faith and believe, I'm going to go ahead and get this car.
Hmm.
And so some of you who know me know that since freshman year. Shout out to my boy Chris the Prince. We were really into cars, but I'd always been interested in Teslas, and
Hmm.
so for me, the first car I wanted to get was actually a Tesla Model 3. And so that's a really when I when I thought about it, I was like, am I going to do it? I just wanted to see
Yeah.
what the numbers was looking like, and so I called Tesla up, and I'm like, hey, like, I'm interested in a red Model 3. Keep in mind, I'm 23 years old. It's November 23rd ish. Still don't know if I got the job at Google. Had enough saved up to get a really nice car, and I had money to sustain the monthly payments. But I feel like with Google, it would have been a
Hmm.
way more affordable. And
Right.
so I was like, again, faith. So I called them up. I'm like, listen, I want this car. I want to get it off the lot. What's up? So they tell me how much it's going to cost and how there's only one left in the Roswell Tesla. And so at that time, a lot of people were trying to cop them, and so it was really hard to find one that it wasn't going to take 6 months to deliver to you. And so I had less than a week to make a decision on something that I
Yeah.
was like, okay, not 100% on. So I pulled the trigger. I got the car, and one of the best decisions I ever made. And then that was November 30th, 2021. And literally 9 days later, I get an email from Google saying, congratulations, you found a team,
Yeah.
you're hired. We
Yes,
want you to
sir. Yes,
start
sir. Yes, sir.
in January 2022. I'm ecstatic. So I'm like, yo, this is crazy. You know what I'm saying? So I call my family, I call my friends. I'm like going nuts. I'm going crazy. Just because it's something that literally was years in the making of
Hmm.
just patience, endurance, and faith. And the numbers that they were talking about was out of this world. Money that I felt like I wasn't going to see until 30. You know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
doctor money. You know what I'm saying? But it was crazy. So really just blessed. And I skipped a lot of parts, but ultimately, like it was a very long journey, and I'm
Hmm.
just really grateful to be here. So
Oh, that's great. That's great. That's actually, I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the story.
appreciate it,
Okay,
bro.
okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
So even between this time, and I'm glad because you really touched on really everything on this journey. I feel like people do need to hear this because they believe that people who achieve so much, again, how you were saying, like nothing comes easy. Like some people think, oh, they just had an easy route, luck happened. But it's just like, no, these people really had to work, and you just don't see
You don't see all
the
that.
reject. You don't see all the rejection. You don't see the failures. You
Yeah.
don't see the low
People only see
times.
the high times. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like people look at me like, they're like, oh, guys, were like, ain't nothing wrong with him. Like, he
Yeah.
good. But it's like, you don't know what it took to get here.
Right.
You know what
Yeah.
sacrifices I had to take. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and everybody's journey is different. So yeah, man.
No, that's good though. I'm proud.
Thank you, bro.
That's a good story though. Everyone. The thing is that everyone has to. Everyone can't have a story like this. They just have to keep going, even past those, rejection times.
Yeah.
A lot of people they get rejected and they say, "Well, I tried. That's it." But
Yeah.
if you really want it,
Yeah.
you gotta keep going until you get it. Like no matter
Yeah.
how long it can take. Okay.
Yeah.
So you mentioned in the beginning of the interview about you said miracle. You said you have a business.
Migrate.
Migrate.
Yes.
Okay. Can we touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So in 2019, when I interned at Deloitte, there was two guys that I got mad close to, who was also my intern class. And at the end of the internship, we were just like, "Yo, like we want to create something that's going to make the lives of people like us a lot easier, and people around the world who actually believe in the technology of blockchain and cryptocurrency." So, a lot of people who think crypto is a scam or this and that, that's about they can have their own valid opinions. But one thing's for certain is that a lot of people didn't believe in the .com boom. A lot of people didn't believe in artificial intelligence, AR, VR. Somebody like me, I can 100% believe that there's always an opportunity for you to innovate what's going on today.
Yeah.
And so let's just think about it from this perspective. So let's say you go on your favorite website to go shopping. Where do you like to shop?
We're just gonna say Amazon.
All right, cool. So let's say you go to Amazon.com, you want to go buy some clothing, you want to go buy something for the crib. So usually when you check out, there's about 4 to 5 different options. You have credit card, debit card, gift card, Apple Pay, Amazon Pay, PayPal, right? However, in the market today, there is not any payment processor that allows you to actually buy products and services using digital currency.
Right.
And so you're probably thinking I thought people invest in crypto. Absolutely right, people do. But at the same time, cryptocurrency is not just an asset. It's not just an investment vehicle. It's also what its name entails, a currency.
Right.
You can directly spend your coins.
Right.
No application on the market today does that. And so we found an opportunity in this realm because we felt like it was very tedious for people who have cryptocurrency to go sell their coins on another platform, wait for it to convert to money. To fiat, which is like USD, then move that to another account just to go shopping. That's a very tedious process, and then on top of that, you're also subject to capital gains taxes. And so it's not like the stock. With stocks, you can't go take a Apple stock or Microsoft stock and go buy something.
Right.
So you would have to go sell it, right? Same thing with crypto. Our payment processor is completely different because now we give you the opportunity to basically check out on the website, and once you click on our migrate logo, kind of similar to a little button, it has our Amazon logo. When you click on it, it directly routes you to whatever wallet you choose that has your cryptocurrency holdings in it, whether it's Coinbase, whether it's Binance, whether it's MetaMask. You can directly spend your cryptocurrency on any platform that you choose. And so we're launching that product in the spring.
That's nice.
And so we have a couple different talks with some of our friends who are entrepreneurs who have businesses, so we can kind of test what the success of this would actually be like on a website. That's not the end state of the application. The end state of the application is actually a full end-to-end marketplace where entrepreneurs, e-commerce founders can actually come and sell their product directly on our app or website, and then people who are consumers can go and shop on our app directly and be able to facilitate transactions with cryptocurrency. So one day we plan to sell the application. One day we plan to sell the application. I have a couple different mentors and colleagues who've successfully sold their apps before. One of my colleagues, he actually sold an app for $91 million
Wow.
to Coinbase back in 2021. Yeah,
Hmm.
so really, really major. There's a lot of opportunity in this space, and so right now we just need the platform. We just really need the platform to be able to showcase this technology and why it may be important to a lot of people one day. So, but I wouldn't say that I'm like Migrate is my brand. I think
Hmm.
Migrate is just another opportunity. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I have a lot of different inventions and ideas and
Hmm.
opportunities that I want to pursue. But
Hmm.
I think from now, Migrate is the first product that I want to launch in the next couple of months.
Okay, that's great. Okay. So I was just gonna ask, like, what do you think or what are your goals for like the next 3 to 5 years for right now?
Yeah,
Either
man.
big goals, small goals.
Yeah. So outside of Migrate, I'm also really passionate about real estate, and so I actually bought my first property um, June 2022, and so this is where we're at actually. But so it's really crazy because I actually never really thought about property heavily until around 23, 24. I started seriously kind of looking into properties, and then thanks to a very aggressive like savings process and also Google, I was able to like stack up pretty
Hmm.
heavily over the last 3 years, and I was able to actually save up to get this house. So shout out to God on that. But with real estate, I'm really interested in like also generating passive income, and then also creating opportunities for minorities like ourselves to be educated about why it's important to have ownership. A
Right.
lot of people our age, when they think of a house, they think of, oh, like I'm not trying to be stuck here. I'm not trying to have to worry about this, worry
Right.
about that. But in reality, like
Got to.
either you paying somebody else or you paying yourself. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So it's like, what journey do you want to choose? And everybody has their own preferences. So I'm not knocking anybody who's against home
Right.
ownership, but I think especially in the Black community, it's very, very important. It's very powerful, and you don't have to wait till we're 30 or 40 to do that. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Like with the right discipline, the right focus, and the right understanding of opportunity cost, you can do it. I
Right.
feel like a lot of people our age and our generation are like, oh, like I want to have fun now. I want to do this now, and that's fun. Like we're young, we can have fun, but also make room for those things that actually matter in the long
Right.
run. You know what I'm saying? So I'm really grateful that I was able to get this property because now it just opens up so many different opportunities. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? And also I just like the peace of coming home and really just being alone and just kind of
Yeah.
relaxing sometimes. But so yeah, real estate is really something I'm really interested in. So I actually have a real estate company on the side with a couple of UGA grads and a few other people in my network. And right now we're just looking into different ways we can generate passive income.
Hmm.
And so looking to get our first investment property this year.
Hmm.
And then outside of that, I have some other goals. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to be able to save X amount by December. I'm also looking into some personal health goals and also spiritual goals. And so this year is just really the year of like elevation and separation. And when I say separation, not necessarily like from my loved ones, but the year of actually making sure that my
Hmm.
mindset is separated from what goes on around us.
Right.
And the reason why I say that is because a lot of things that you see at face value in the physical or material world, it's all fades. It's
Yeah.
all temporary. It's all fake. But something I'm really passionate about is my walk with God. And not many people, who how many people in my life really know for real, like how serious I am about that walk. And like when it comes with that is that it's that mindset. Of course, I'm not perfect. Of course, there's things I still need to work on. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's habitual or whether it's in other aspects. But like ultimately, like one of my main focuses here is actually walking in line with God and also helping people understand the truth about the Bible. So
Hmm.
um, yeah, I would say between spiritual, real estate,
Hmm.
Migrate, and also just being
Yeah.
better and better every
Hmm.
day as
That's
a
good.
person. So yeah.
That's great. That's great. Okay. Okay. Do you have any advice to, anyone who wants to work in the technology field or going to Google or real estate or anything, any type of advice that you just want to give someone, the viewers, or anything that you've spoken about so far?
Yeah, great question. I would say in terms of advice, honestly, like I think that really just understand that nothing is impossible. I know that's very, very generic, but like you really have to go in with the idea that something is already yours, and that you'll be surprised how fastly it
Hmm.
manifests through the grace
And
of God.
actually believe it.
And believe it. You know what I'm saying? Like don't just say, oh, I think I can be able to, like, no, like do it. You know what I'm saying? Like just do it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's really what you have to do is like set your goal on something and be serious to sacrifice something else for it.
Hmm.
And like I feel like a lot of people in our generation, our age, it frustrates me sometimes that I really there's so much potential.
Yeah.
that a lot of people have, whether it's my friends, whether it's my family, whether it's people that I love. It's like we have so much potential to really change our lives. You know, not everybody has to change the world, but everybody can change their life. You know what I'm saying? And so it depends on how bad you
That's a
want it.
fact. Yeah.
It depends on how bad you want it. And so my thing is like whatever you love, whatever you're passionate about, chase it wholeheartedly. And on that journey, realize that you're going to have to make sacrifices, and it's not going to be easy. But in those positions where you're faced with the opportunity to make sacrifices, will you do that? And if you don't, then you have to understand that sometimes your goals just kind of take a little bit longer.
Hmm.
If you have a goal to lose 25 pounds, but you continue to eat like crap, you continue to not work out, it's just a wish.
Right.
But the problem with goals, and this is what separates successful people from non-successful people, according to the book Atomic Habits. I don't know if anybody's read Atomic Habits, but it's a really fantastic book. And in that book, it basically talks about how like a lot of people have goals. Everybody in life has goals, whether they're successful or not successful. But what helps people to get to that level of success, in whatever way they define that, is having systems and habits and identifiable personality changes that can help you to get to that goal. And so let's say, for example, you want to lose 25 pounds and your goal is like, okay, I want to lose 25 pounds. First of all, is your goal something that you can actually measure? How do you actually get there? And is it actually realistic? You want to lose 25 pounds. How do you do that in a healthy manner? How do you sustainably keep that 25 pounds off after you hit the goal? So the goal should not be, oh, I just want to lose 25 pounds. It should be, oh, I want to be somebody who's actually, I want to be a runner, or I want to go to the gym consistently. And as a byproduct, you lost those 25 pounds. And what are you doing at the gym? Oh, I want to be able to hit cardio at least 4 times a week. I want to be able to hit weights at least twice a week. Within that, I will also going to limit the amount of hours that I eat outside of 12 to 8 p.m. And also make sure that if I do have a meal where it doesn't have the most, healthy nutrients, I'm able to not only like, I'm only doing that maybe certain times of a week. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's all about how do you actually plan the structure around that in that process. And so that's some advice I would give people.
Okay, that's great. Okay. Do you have any advice for me with this platform and just my future with this?
No, man, I think this is special. I think this is actually, I'm really proud of you, man. This is an amazing thing that you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Especially exposing black and black people to what's really possible out here. We're all pretty young. You know what I'm saying? And it's really important for us to stay connected and just kind of help other people understand that they can achieve their dreams too, and also leverage the content from what we've talked about in these different sessions to hopefully inspire people to go out and get it, and also just to learn something new. But I've actually always thought about the idea of just like getting to a place where all of us are so we have so much time and freedom to just do what we want, to where we can actually come together and talk about these different things and give advice to people. Because ultimately, like, it's never actually been about the money. It's actually never been about success. It's always been about getting to a place where you can actually afford time and freedom. Those are things that you cannot directly just write down an equation and say, oh, like, this is how much time is worth, or freedom. No, time is our biggest, like, it's one of the things that actually humans cannot control. You know what I'm saying? And so like the reason why I say it's so valuable is because the goal for me is to get to a place by the age of 28 to really get to a place where it's like I can spend my time wherever I want. I don't have to do anything. I can wake up and go to a mountain. I can wake up and go to the ocean. You know what I'm saying? And so another piece of advice is, with this platform that you have, use it well and make sure that you help people understand that the ultimate freedom in whatever they're doing is, you have the time and freedom to actually dedicate to your loved ones and to your family, to what you actually care about. At that time, you're aligned with your purpose. Okay. So, yeah.
That sounds good. All right. So my last question for you is, what are bears without bees?
What are bears without bees? Honestly, they might be screwed because they ain't got no honey.
But I think bears eat other stuff though, right?
They do, yeah.
Do they really eat honey?
I think they do, but I feel like they don't really like. I feel like they wouldn't die without. I feel like they would still survive without bees.
I don't know about survive, but they will have ears.
Okay, I get it.
You get it.
The bee. Yeah. Okay, you said about that.
Get a little joke. All right, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Paid and Passion. Let your passion work for you.
Thank you all.